The biggest problem, if I can be honest here, is that people don't even know there is such a big problem. It's a very silent problem that we're looking at. Today, the biggest symptom that you can find of having too many softwares in a company is usually through the finances or because you're losing money and you're, close to like maybe a crisis of hiring in your company because you don't have enough cash. So you need to go and reduce the budget everywhere. So this is the only time when you start digging in the software money that you're actually spending.
Héloïse is co-founder and the CEO of Corma. Now, Corma is the tool that can save you a lot of money on software subscription. But Héloïse, please, welcome to the podcast. And please introduce yourself, introduce Corma for us, please, and tell us what you guys do.
Hello, thank you so much for welcoming me today. Yes, we are developing the revolution for the way that companies interact with software. So our objective in the next 10 years is to completely shift the paradigm of looking at the IT business units in a company as a cost center, but actually bring it inside the company as a champion, which means bringing it as an investment center that's designed for a perennial company that has a great success in business. So this is our vision. And we started just a little over a year ago by developing the first IT agent for license management, which helps you not only, as you mentioned, very rightfully so, to, build up proper savings on the software, but especially to cut all the accesses that present a risk, to understand the presence of shadow IT in a company, which brings a lot of compliance issues, and better communicate altogether to the collaborators inside your team. This is what we do, thanks to our agent today.
Awesome. Sounds so interesting. Obviously, before we started recording, I've told you I am looking into this because there's definitely some savings down there. But tell me, before we're going to move to the story, how we all started and how you guys growing and finding yourself new clients, let's talk a little bit more about the product and those savings and managing subscriptions and the software. So first, I would like to know what, from your experience, company are doing wrong with this software. Are they not managing it? Are they subscribing to too many things, doing the same things? Are they having dead accounts and seats, for example, for particular software? What are you finding as the big problem that you thought, look, you're wasting money?
The biggest problem, if I can be honest here, is that people don't even know there is such a big problem. It's a very silent problem that we're looking at. Today, the biggest symptom that you can find of having too many softwares in a company is usually through the finances or because you're losing money and you're, close to like maybe a crisis of hiring in your company because you don't have enough cash. So you need to go and reduce the budget everywhere. So this is the only time when you start digging in the software money that you're actually spending. The second way, the second way of mistake that I see that companies do is that they don't react before the crisis happens in terms of access breach of the license. This is honestly, in the words of a few of our clients, is the most dramatic cause of this software sprawl. The fact that all the accesses are not monitored properly. And we're talking about thousands of accesses, even for a company of 100 people. It is a nightmare for companies today of small and medium size to really completely solve the problem of software sprawl. The reason why it's so silent is because, in 2014, the software as a service philosophy happened and completely changed the world. And today we have this new wave of agents that is arriving. And when you look at the wave in 2014 and now this new wave of agents, what you can see as a symptom is that in a company of 100 or 200 people, we went from 12 softwares in 2016 to over 230 softwares in the same company in 2024. So today is 2025 and we're here to change things. And this is why really we're here with Corma, because these companies did not see the problem arrive because it's very silent. When they have an issue, they try to solve it, but the only tools they have to solve it is an Excel file or maybe a paper data trace that an intern or an IT person managed to get around during an audit that took them 2 months to realize in the company. This is just not how a perennial company that looks at IT like an investment center can operate.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. Even in a personal life is the same. Everything is a subscription. We don't own anything, right? And very often we have, let's put TV streaming, right? The movies, Netflix and Disney and this and that, right? And we actually don't use majority of them, but we have a few subscriptions. And I know there are solutions like this for our private lives. And your solution is the same for businesses. So I completely get this. As a CEO myself, I know that there is a wastage in, it was something maybe good idea to subscribe a few months ago, and now it's not. And for us, you'll be taking some of my time to really monitor that constantly, check if that changed, how much is that subscription. What else do you check as a company, as a software, to see its company should keep that subscription or not? Is it, the dormant seats? Is it that you don't need it? Maybe the features are in the other software that you subscribed as well. What are those indicators showing you, no, you shouldn't have that software, or maybe not as many seats on this?
The reason why the Corma will spot the seats that you should stop using or having inside your company is threefold. The first data that we spot is the lack of usage on a license that is meant to be strategic in your company. And when it's strategic, usually it's very, very expensive, like a CRM, a Google, or Microsoft Copilot license. All of these are quite expensive seats to have. And if the employees or collaborators that you have, even a freelance, is not using properly this license, either you have to talk to them to understand what's really going on, or you have to take it off. And this is one of the biggest reasons, usage of strategic licenses. The second one is compliance and risk put together in that same family, because when a license that is used on a freemium, for example, plan, which could be linked to a software that allows for data leakage, when one of the collaborators is working on it, this is really not something that's possible in the life of a company that is regulated like a bank or an insurance, although it does happen quite more often than you would want to. And this is so directly linked to the advent of shadow IT, which is all these licenses that are not super compliant or super secure, that have surged in, especially during COVID, but also still now. There's a 59% increase of shadow IT usage. So this is the second reason. And the third reason, really, after the strategic license and this compliance and security licenses, simply taste. But the presence of duplicate licenses that people have in companies is astronomical. And you have to make a decision on, do I keep this specific marketing tool or that one? In this new wave of tools of AI agents, pure agents, and the new software tools that emerge every week on specific topics, there's bound to be a lot of duplicates. And this is one of the main reasons as well why companies should stop some licenses.
Amazing. And give me some stellar examples, right? You've got a few clients. If I would go to you and say, I've got clients in a particularly niche, 1,000 employees, what would you be your wild guess? How much money you could save them? How much they're wasting per month or per year? Rough estimate.
Rough estimate. In a business today, what I can see is that in a company of 150 people, usually like tech software company, you would have a budget of $1.5 to $2 million on softwares per year, and 20% go out of the window every year because they're not used sufficiently and they would deserve to be cut out.
Wow. 20% out of a 1 million, right? And obviously software is expensive, and we don't buy software anymore, right? We just rent it. We just subscribe to all sorts of tools and products that we use. Fantastic. Now, you've told me also before the podcast, because my biggest objection was I haven't had time to look at this, it's going to take me some time. And you told me that, how long did it take for the last company you've onboarded with a couple thousand employees?
It's this a big company of 2,500 people, and it took us on a specific setup combining Okta, Microsoft, Google, some strategic tools, and all the rest of hundreds of applications they had, around 7 minutes to onboard the whole company. And they got the first results in the first 10 minutes as the data, starts arriving really fast. We have done terrific work in data latency and processing. And the next day they could make decisions on, identification of duplicates, understanding real usage on some strategic softwares, and understanding the spend, because we're really, really good, not just as understanding what subpages people are working on and really the efficiency behind that, but also the precise spend per license. So you would know exactly, for example, for Microsoft, if you're using E5 or F3, and where to who it's given and if it's used properly.
Wow, outstanding. You're saving money instantly. It takes essentially zero effort from the other side, apart from commitment of, I'm going to take a look at this. I'm going to let machines do that for me rather than trusting there was a human. Maybe there is a person responsible for this. Amazing. Now, talk me through the very beginnings. How did you find that there is this gap in the market, that there is need for a product like this? How you all started?
That's a great question. As a background, I'm a biomedical engineer. I'm specialized in mechanical engineering. So what I can do really technically are prosthetics and robotics. But when I discovered the world of entrepreneurship, or like the entrepreneurial people that I had the chance to meet throughout my journey, I understood that my dream was really to build a team around a topic where technology has a human impact. That's like my DNA, and that's the DNA of my two other co-founders, Nikolai Fom and Samuel Bismuth. Together, we met during a Master's of Entrepreneurship between Polytechnique and HEC, and we met an entrepreneur from the French tech ecosystem that explained who was CEO and co-founder of a 170 people company in insurance, and he was telling us that he had a lot of softwares and he was scared that it was a hassle for his employees to manage, and that probably there was some, budget cuts to be found in it. So this is really how we found it. It was a student project where we had to work for free for this entrepreneur, and who just gave us an idea. And at the end of the day, it became a company.
Wow. And that person was your first client, I take it, right? So you essentially built
an investor.
MVP.
An investor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you showed me that from the very beginning, as in the investor must have thought, this is great, right? I want to invest in this. Everyone needs this. Okay. So how are you finding new clients yourself now? What's been working for you in terms of, attracting new clients, maybe putting them in a pipeline, educating them a little bit more about how much they can sell? Is there any particular channel that works for you? Any form of activity that you guys do?
Well, to be very frank with you, Pete, we're students when we started. So we had no network, no nothing. Even if you do good schools, doesn't mean anything for sales. So what we did is cold calling. We did on average 400 cold calls every week for months and months and months. And it brings us 80% of our deals today. The rest of the 20% started recently appearing in the past 4 months from inbound, because for the past year, we have developed a strategy of content creation on the blogs, on our LinkedIn. We optimize our website, SEO and SEA. Quite severely, which I'm really, really proud about. I was, Nikolai and Samuel's feat. And together, you have to understand that we need to create content for both channels to work, because outbound strategy, you have to know that our deciders spend 70% of our decision-making process is done online. 30% is done when you talk to them. So you have to have a very strong digital identity. So you're not like a weird person asking them to use a tool, but it's really, a proper company, and it reassures them. And we have ISO certifications, of course, SOC 2 ongoing and all these things. So outbound is really a strong channel for us today.
Amazing. So the outbound, it means the cold calling. Have you been trying some emails, LinkedIn as well?
Yes.
Maybe automation scale? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so today we did cold calling at first, and then when we started learning about what sales B2B really looks like, we took AI automated emails, cold calling and LinkedIn to hyper-personalize the channels with only 20-30 prospects on account-based sales strategy.
And is that still performing really well, I take it, right? Because you've got such a strong offer, you can go and say in 2 sentences what you can do for a company, and bring them, variable case study saying, hey, we've just helped these guys, right?
Yes, true. Now it really depends on what the case study is. So you have to think about, what is your target in the campaign to show the right words and the right hook, in even in the title of the email. But I would say that out of the email, the LinkedIn, and the cold calling is still the way to go. But doing the emails and the LinkedIn means we have more touch points, and you can, manage objections such as, oh, hey, please send me an email. You can say, well, I already just sent you one yesterday, and, happy to talk about it if you have 5 minutes. So.
And where is the challenge in your sales? Is it more on the prospecting side at very first touch, or maybe, moving from this to actually proposal, actually closing the companies? Do you identify any big, challenge in your sales funnel?
It goes down to what's the root of the problem we solve is. Our problem is silence. So we have to create urgency. So if there's no compelling events, we have to talk about the potential compelling events, and you have to try a few different elements to make the prospect react. No one has said it was not a topic. It's just a question of really building urgency and prioritization on the topic. That's the main challenge.
But you've got an easy way, right? Because every month, let's say you can estimate, there's 200 of you, there are tools of checking what tools companies are using. So you could go to them and say, in 2 weeks' time, hey, you've just lost another 15 €8,500, right? Just because you didn't follow up on with our call, for example, right? So the agency, with every week that they delay, they're losing money, right? Very strong case studies showing in 10 minutes we saved money to this company, and it's a subscription. So if you're not going to renew by if you're going to renew or not cancel by this particular date, you're going to be charged for another month. So you got easy way to that first touch point, maybe finding that agency. But once they actually sold and someone in the company wants to really look into the problem that they have with oversubscribing, then conversion, I take it, is quite high for you guys.
It's quite high, and really like getting the fact that a bit people, there's also a blocker in like the fact that we collect data from the company, and people can see us sometimes as a startup. They don't like, these big IT guys. They don't like girls, of course. They don't like having the concept of a startup because it's not the same world, and they risk a lot, of course, on this. We don't collect any private data, like hyper-personal data. So we're not like a fintech company in terms of legal issues. However, in procurement for these companies, they need a checklist of certifications. They need a security action plan. They need security level agreements that are quite high. So, we just started a pilot with a 10,000 people company, and I can tell you it was on the same standard as the first company we started working with, which were more around 200 people.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely get that. So obviously every size is a little bit different how they approach things and regulations that they have, and how quickly they can make that decision. We also have a big challenge of, essentially fighting fire with fire. It's like, hey, you need to subscribe to us to actually sort out some subscriptions. So you kind of, when you go and discuss what you actually do and how you do it is for people like, how? Look, I'm subscribing to one thing to not subscribe to the other one. And it's very difficult.
It's the whole joke of Corma. We're called the SaaS of SaaS, like one SaaS to rule them all. Like the DNA of the name comes from the Elfish language, because we're big geeks and we're fan of Lord of the Rings. So shout out to their creators if they hear me. But it's Corma really comes from the dictionary Elfish to English, and it means the ring. So we're just the bearers of the ring, basically.
Very clever. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's talk about your next 12 months and the strategy. Now you're growing, exiting that startup, very, very early startup phase. You've got product market fit. You've got some great clients. You saving them money. You're delivering on your promise. Is there anything that you're going to need to be changing in terms of your, sales strategy and prospecting and what you do in digital world for the next 12 months?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, our objective for the next 12 months is to get to 1 million annual recurring revenue with our current product. So of course, deploy the roadmap accordingly, but we satisfy our clients and manage upsell. So getting 1 million annual recurring revenue would mean that maybe like 80% would come from new clients, and 20% would come from existing clients and upsell. So there is a strong sales outbound, inbound strategy that's launching. Two main objectives. One is to keep pushing on the outbound strategy, not just in France, but also like Germany, UK, Belgium, and a bit of the US as well in our niche. So really just focusing on our niche that I can explain a bit later if you want. And for that, I've written a sales playbook for my co-founders so that we can delegate this to SDRs, BDRs, and AEs, so account executives, that we're going to recruit this year in order to, go on the roadmap. We still do founder-led sales, but we believe that we're mature enough now to start delegating that. The second element is not just outbound, but inbound. So we're launching our freemium in the next few weeks to really target all these companies that are just under 100 people. Our salespeople focus on the bigger contracts, and the smaller contracts are captured through inbound channels.
Talk me through those niches. You said you've targeted your ICP, you know who you want to target. Talk me through that, please.
Of course, yeah. So actually, just so you know, we found it just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it's super new. So if you cross them by the street, call me. I'll be super happy to meet them. It's usually a company between 100 and 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. The decider in the company is head of IT, chief information officer, chief technology officer. Sometimes it can be the CFO. If it's a smaller company, they mix a bit the responsibility. We apply really Corma on sectors that are very warm to the problematic. So that had identified it as a problem to do a faster in sales, such as technology companies, software companies, of course, companies that are regulated, such as bank and insurance, but also companies where there's a high turnover and high security standards, but that don't want to internalize too much IT, such as media, communication, cosmetics, and luxury. These are the industries, and last but not least, where the reason why we arrive in companies where they feel the urgency is because there's a compelling event. So this ideal client profile usually has a compelling event that is, for example, a failed audit or a certification that's arriving soon. The fact that they are doing M&A, so they need to build synergies between those IT ecosystems, or they're doing growth consolidation, or actually they're rationalizing a lot, because we win in both cases with them.
Oh, that's very interesting, because obviously, like for me, I know for a fact that marketing teams and marketing companies, they love shiny tools, so they always sign up for new shiny tool for a bit, right? And they keep testing. Very often they kind of leave the subscription because, 15 euros per person, not a big price, right? It's only 27 people. They kind of keep it. They may use it next quarter. Hardly ever do, but the subscription is there. Obviously, yes, IT, and another. What I've been thinking now is acquisitions, right? The company acquires another company. Obviously, that some of those products and subscriptions that they have will be either, if they're managed, they may save them money. They may actually make them even more streamlined, and the workflow could be better. Really cool. Okay, so some great strategies for the future, focusing on the outbound. And I liked how you splitting in different target markets, the smaller companies. Obviously, can we do it less of sales process that is very heavy on manpower, and the bigger guys obviously taking extra care and really guiding them through this, working very, very directly with those specific people and trying to convince them this way. So for your inbound, what are the strategies? Is it ads? Is it organic content? What are we thinking that inbound is going to be coming from?
That's a really good question. We're still trying to figure it out. Today, the natural one is really through the LinkedIn and through the blogs that are quite well graded in terms of SEO. The rest of the inbound would be for the ads. Maybe we'll try LinkedIn ads, Google ads. We'll also try some partnerships. So quite a lot of partnerships going on with different players in the ecosystem. And we'll definitely go to events, conferences in terms of marketing, really spread around the world. We have a lot of funny and quite fun growth hack techniques with stickers and fun videos on Instagram, TikTok that we want to launch, because we believe that in order for people to think about us, they have to think about us at breakfast, or they wake up and they eat cereal and they think Corma will solve my problem. It's really for this, so they have to know us, and we're a bit of dust. We're a company that started a year ago, and so we have to have a really strong brand, and it's going to take a few years to actually structure it properly. Just to give you a statistic, we estimate that launching a free month takes 6 months, and actually having the first numbers takes an additional 3 months. So I think we'll have first results in 9 months.
So obviously companies do take their time, right? Even if someone in the company is convinced, yeah, we need to change this. The bigger the company, the slower the sales process and the cycle will be. There's going to be few internal meetings and discussion and internal objections that they're going to have to handle. You're going to have to handle a few of the external objections, right? Another subscription. Do we need this? And so on. Very, very good. I absolutely love the product. As I said earlier on, I'm going to look myself for us. I'm going to recommend it to a few of my friends as well, because I know we are always heavy on subscription. So I absolutely will. Now, if someone listening now would like to have, I know on your website you even have a calculator that you can estimate how much you potentially could be losing, right? Where could they find more information about you guys, what you do online?
Of course, quite easily. You can go on corma.io, that's corma.io, or simply reach out on my LinkedIn, write a small message. My name is Héloïse Rozès, and my email is héloïse@corma.io. So all these different channels are possible.
Amazing, thank you. And obviously we'll leave the links below, so to make it a little bit easier for people.
Thanks.
Héloïse,
that's super nice.
Thank you very much for joining me today and sharing your story and the product. I recommend it for everyone to have a go and really spend not that much time to really just sit down and say, am I overpaying? Have I got an easy win to save some money here? Héloïse and her software, her team can help me out with figuring out if I'm actually losing couple thousand here, with my subscriptions. Héloïse, thank you very much for joining me today. Great conversation. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Pete, for having me. It was great. Bye.